And
We're
we're
the
back.
first to die.
I will haunt you.
Not with
I'll
the spell list you
sacrifice
have
you.
right now.
What?
I'll comprehend the fuck out of your languages.
Do it as a ritual.
I will haunt you. And then I will
Alright.
come back and fuck with you with my 34,000 points.
So, when we left off from the cat trying to kill me, because apparently she did not get food for the evening.
Good reason to try to kill someone.
Yeah, she was hungry, and that means animals have to eat people.
she
She
didn't
thought I
even
was
wait till
dead.
you
Look
were
at how pale I am. Clearly, easy to think.
Is that a jab at me over here?
No, look at my hand. I am a
Not
very
things
pale
about
person.
But you always
Stay
bash me being
translucent.
pale.
Yes, I do bash you. I bash everyone. Name someone here I have not bashed yet.
Steve and I
Michelle.
always get along.
You're
Steve and I
exactly.
never bashed each other.
All right, so let's leave Cassius to think on his goings on. What are the rest of you doing? What's Zeke? I actually want to know, what is Zeke doing now that he doesn't have the looming threat of something taking over him?
Well, I'm getting a really nice sleep at that inn I paid like $1 million gold.
All right.
For.
You head back there and you just crash. And you have the most amazing sleep you have had in a long time. No need to worry about anything like digging in your brain. No need to worry about anything moving your body when you don't want it. Just the nice ability to just relax and be in your own headspace. Such an empty and freeing feeling. You're not even talking to yourself. You're not even thinking or worrying. It's just beautiful, beautiful sleep.
Now you dream.
And the dreams are even more fucked up than being body controlled.
Dang it, not again.
In this, what is Spinks doing?
A very good question. Wasn't there like something I was supposed to work on for someone?
I don't know, was there?
A specific someone named Cassius?
Perhaps there was.
Ah, that's where I am relative to you, John.
I do wish
Yeah,
the camera layouts were the same for everybody.
I do appreciate the way that Zoom has it set up, though. It looks so much better.
Yeah. As opposed to one massive screen.
Yeah, as opposed to John being right in the middle all the time. Or Dan. It's always John or Dan.
We'll be working on Cassius and stuff
Okay.
in my room for the.
It's gonna take about I think it's gonna take about 6 days, but I'll offer to pay for a week's worth of time in the 100 gold or the.
You already did, remember? That's already transpired. And then what is Ra doing during this time?
I never got to sleep, so I'll probably go back to sleep. And if then there's time after that, I'm probably gonna go back to that temple and see what like more information I can find out about the mistress after that.
So we'll jump to that because I don't think you'll sleep for nearly as long as Zeke will.
Yeah, probably not. I would just get enough sleep
sequel.
to like generally feel rested.
Ugh.
Yeah, so you head back over to that temple, disrobe, and enter the temple. Where are you looking for these answers?
I guess I would start in the library first and see if, like, I know they said that she's sort of new, so I don't know if there's going to be in the library, but I think that would be, like, logically, normally, if you're wanting information on, like, a god or goddess, like, that would be the logical first step. So I'll just start there and see if anything has been written yet. And if not, then I'll probably go and just, like, ask around, some of, like, the, like, local people and there and junk.
You'll notice that when you're looking for stuff on the mistress, there is no books about the mistress. When you ask around about the mistress, they'll inform you that books aren't really the way the mistress does things. Books are as she describes it, books are plebeian? I didn't understand what that was supposed to mean. But something about them being a very limited form of expression. And nothing should ever be limiting, according to the followers of the mistress.
So then what does she recommend or say or...
If you want to understand the mistress, it's best to take the stairs to the mistress and experience for yourself what the mistress is. Can show you. I think that's about the best way to say it. The mistress has been something that has confused me since its arrival in the temple. How do I put this? We've had a number of people very interested in growing their understanding and education. But at the same time, they all look an unsavory lot. The kind of people who... Listen, I don't wish to judge people, but sometimes the way that people look at you makes you feel like they might be cannibals. I don't often feel comfortable when they come around, but they all seem to be respectful people. So I try to give them their space and their ability to be themselves, but every once in a while I do feel myself wish that the mistress didn't take her residence here.
Interesting. Now I'm like sketched out. I don't know if I want to go where he was referring to.
It is safe. As he sees kind of look on your face, he says that.
Mm-hmm.
But it should be your choice. But I would say that in the interest of understanding, in the interest of knowledge, it's always worth it to at least see. But I say this, and I have not worked up the bravery myself to go there.
I think she would hesitantly go check it out. Like, feel like the only way to know more is to go see what it's all about, and
Okay. You make your way up a set of stairs. You seem to move more swiftly as you're walking up these stairs, because you know you haven't taken enough steps to get up several floors. But as you kind of go up the steps, you are at the end of the steps. And you are standing in a rather small room with a line of people. And they're all kind of waiting, and there is a cleric who is like covered in piercings and tattoos, with a bald head, but it's like not only bald, but it looks almost flayed. And they look over everybody, and they kind of stop when they look at you, and just kind of almost stare for a moment, and then look back over the rest of the people.
I'm gonna try to like sense motive while he's stopping and staring at me.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you take a look at the line ahead of you, and you sort of stick out like a sore thumb. Comparatively, like all of them have some kind of skin markings or cuts, or like, but not cuts in the way that like you have some cuts. Like you have some scars that are like battle scars. These people have cuts that are like experiments, like cuts in places that you couldn't naturally get a cut, like cuts under the arm, like, and they're very small cuts, and some of them are very precise cuts. They're done at a certain level. There's one guy who has like this massive scar across his belly, but the way it hasn't like scarred over in the way that, like, if somebody would have really cut him across the gut and somebody would have healed over that, it's not really done that way. It's done in a very thin cut. And it's like scarred over in a very unnatural way. And you just see a lot of this in the line. A lot of these like very strange tattoos that look like they were not etched. What's the term? It's not penciled, right? It's
like scratched, or
I guess scratched is kind of right, because it looks like they've kind of taken blades to skin and like kind of cut them into place, and then probably put like dyes in there as like the wounds kind of seal over. A lot of this looks like just people like playing around with their bodies more than it does people trying to like take on a form of expression.
Self-mutilation.
Mm-hmm. The guy at the front is probably the cleanest of them, when even considering like the flayed, his own skin flayed cap that he has upon his head. So you stand out pretty significantly.
This is weird as fuck.
If you wait in line for long enough, what are your interests? The man with the flayed head will ask you as you reach kind of this doorway into a room.
What do you mean, what are my interests? This is my first time here. I'm trying to learn more about the mistress.
What interests you? What things are you... I thought you might not fully understand. Reach into the depths of who you are and ask yourself, what it is do you wish to experience that you might not ever get to? Or that maybe you shouldn't?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this isn't for me.
It doesn't have to be so sinful, perhaps, if you're thinking of it that way. It can be very nice. And hold on, he's going to try to size you up. It could perhaps be the knowing embrace of that which is lost.
What do you know about what you think I've lost?
I know nothing. I just suggest. There are many things that can be learned here. That is why we are allowed here. If you would like to experience something that will give you something you'll likely never feel, but something that you've been missing lately, I urge you to just step through the door.
So do I have to like say to him like what I'm thinking, or can I just like step through the door?
Step through the door thinking it.
Okay, so like I'm sort of like in her mind, she's thinking about like, I just want to know like what the fuck happened to Sashat, and like I don't know if I'm gonna get real or fake or what, but that's what like her mindset is, and I'll step through the door.
You step through the door, and as you step through the door, you find yourself seated in a throne with seated beside the most like profoundly indescribable sort of orcish figure seated beside you that you kind of look over. His skin is an earthy green. His eyes brown as the dirt. There is a radiant energy that glows off of him. Something as you first began to love him, you really enjoyed that about him. He was a fervent. Hold on. Fervent. It is. I think it's fervent. Yes, he was a fervent man, focused, dedicated, filled with desire. But over time, the bureaucracy, the order of it all, turned him into more of almost a bureaucrat. And you sit here, your bow at your side, claiming once to be a hero, claiming once to be a savior. This is all you are now, a slave to the beck and call of those who need you, to help them free themselves, free others, to help those who seemingly can't free themselves. And you want them to have that freedom, but you know you could free them the best if you just weren't stuck in this chair. And as you look one last time at that man that sits beside you, that man you have declared your alliance with, your fingers linger on the bow next to you, and you can feel the string, and you pluck it just slightly, and it makes that noise that you remember, that soft noise. And you pluck it again. And you look over to him, to the man you assured you could do this with. And you pick up the bow. And you say, I'm sorry. This has been wonderful at times. But I can't do this anymore. I need to go. And he turns his head, and he looks at you with a very sad but knowing kind of look. And he says, I will love you, but I understand. It is hard to feel effective here when down there they make their choices, take their actions, and all you can do is try to guide them and help out where you can. You know the rules, though. When you go, that is it. There is no home anymore to you. You will not know me, and I will forever miss you. She picks up the bow, takes a few steps. You pick up the bow, stand up from the seat, take a few steps forward and look back, and say, at this point, I don't think I would miss it even if I could. And you fall backwards out of the sky, down to the ground below. And you step out of the room. You are you again.
Yeah. So I think I would just like walk back down the stairs and sit in the temple and sit there and just think for a while.
Okay. All right. So, this will probably pass a few days. After a few days, Mal, you'll be able to get loose the door. What are you planning to do with this thing, anyway? You're muted.
I basically.
This is in character.
Oh, okay. It's. I would ponder for a moment, and I would kind of say. It's been dangerous outside of Chrysizen. It's been
Don't I know it?
almost every day that I feel like I'm traveling. It feels like my life's about to end, if that makes sense. And I potentially, if this is a safer means of us getting places, and even more importantly, I guess time is of the essence right now. Time is something that you can never quite master, despite a weird friend of mine trying to do so. I have a feeling that this could be a very valuable resource to us at some point. I don't fully know, but I don't like to waste it. It would seem a waste to just remove this opportunity.
I suppose that makes sense, but how are you gonna cart it around?
In my time away, I've picked up a number of crafting abilities. I've actually built quite a durable rig lately. It supports a golem.
What?
Yeah, like this big, and I kind of like gesture to the size of the room. It weighs like nothing, and I might even, as I sort of get out like one of like my armor projects that I'm working on, and I'd sort of rub my hand over the metal and say it's like nothing I've worked before.
He leans into it. This is no iron I've ever seen, but it resembles it.
The thing that this came from was the size of the biggest horse you could imagine. Bigger. And if my wagon can support that, it can support this little door.
Well, I hope in whatever it is you're working on now, it does you well. This purple.
How much do you know what's going on the outside, Boria?
Not much.
What do they say of the purple in Chrysizen these days?
Nothing other than what you've told me. This is news to me. A lot of what I've heard about was something about some lion problem. But I hear that's cleared up.
I fear the lions will be chump change compared to what is to come. If we don't act quickly, which again comes back to the purpose for perhaps needing a device like this. It may become pertinent at some point to get somewhere very quickly. And when we need to, we can.
I'm glad you can find something that'll help. Look, you've been gone a long time, and I've worried a lot about you. No, there was no word from you. No, nothing. I thought you dead.
Is that what you assumed?
World's a scary place anymore. It's always been a scary place, but lately, it just seems like it keeps getting worse. People are always talking about how The gods don't seem to care. You see it all the time. There seem to be more and more people worshipping the Dark Ones, and less people following in the light. Even here, this place, forged under the idea of understanding and growth, and now look at it. It's a sin den. People roam around looking for a blue mage to give them a good time. It's disgusting.
I suppose part of the problem is that speaking, as I've heard, is a difficult process. I've had to accept that I may never hear the voices of those that I uphold the virtues of. I have to put my faith into them. Put my faith into those around me that I trust that I can speak with them.
From what I've heard, that's the hard part about following the good ones. It's that faith part. It's easy to have faith when you do bad things and you get what you want, because bad things often lead you to what you want. But so many people, they do good things, and only bad comes of it. Or only worse comes of it. And so what's the motivation there? How do you hold up faith? How do you hold up hope? Seems like you just give up.
Takes much time, just as a good smithing project. Doesn't happen instantly. Sometimes you make a piece of armor here and a knight takes it and you don't know what they're going to do with it, but presumably someday they might save someone's life with that. You just have to trust in the process, I suppose.
Sometimes I don't like thinking about it like that. It makes me feel like such a small piece, but still part of a bigger problem. There are days that thought makes me think about putting down the hammer.
I can say very competently that the people I serve with, we've been through some very shaky situations. This whole wizard situation was just another, but the armors that you and I make for these people, they matter. They're pertinent. They're pertinent to being able to actually carry out the duties of these people.
Yes, but how many others of them do I end up giving them to that they end up much worse?
It's not for us to dwell on, I suppose. We just have to focus on the good things that we accomplish.
It's hard not to focus on them.
I'm aware.
But I found ways to better distract myself. Perhaps you'd like to meet my wife. And business partner. Yes, well, it didn't start off as being the direction I expected it to go. She came in, saw that I was doing good work crafting what I was, wanted to make a better offer to better up the place. I wondered why, what she could offer. She didn't have the arms for it, that's for damn sure. She most assuredly had the brains for it. So I let her show me what she could do. And the first thing she did is she made me this. This is the first prototype. And he walks over and he opens up a cabinet and he reaches in and he pulls out this smithing hammer and he tosses it at you. And it kind of lands at your feet with a thump.
Mm-hmm. I'd pick it up and sort of investigate the craftsmanship on it.
As you pick it up, it seems easy to move. And as you kind of move it forward in your hand, you feel it something is kind of pulling at your hand to get into the right visual perspective.
Okay. Like there's an invisible force behind it, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Since she made me that hammer, Way back then, my craft improved. I asked her to stick around and show me what else she could do. She could help me make armor like I'd never seen before. Armor that was tougher. Armor that was just straight outright better. Everything got better from there. Kinda took a shine to her.
When maybe perhaps it's been a while since my colleagues have had a good meal. I don't suppose you've gotten any better at cooking, have you?
Huh. Especially not now, no. She's not much of a cooker either.
He's like, what's a good caterer in this town? It's on me. We'll have a dinner party. We'll have a dinner party. For my whole party, you can meet them. Your wife can come. We can have an actual real meal and sit down and get to know each other.
You make the arrangements. Sometimes we forget to eat.
Ah, yes, the Chrysalis. Well, I can tell you the not sleeping doesn't go away. Perhaps for another day, but I haven't exactly had the most peaceful of times since I was taken away from Kazaizen. I gander my face reveals that fact to you, but the details are a little bit more dark than is appropriate for now, perhaps.
I wasn't gonna mention it, just in case you got it by choice.
No, those who gave it to me, most of them are dead now. Speaking of which, there's not a big falling of Ryoshin here still, is there?
Comes and goes. You'll get him every once in a while looking for a good time, wanting to set some things on fire. Thankfully,
Yeah.
a lot of the city seems to keep a lot of that at bay. Still often have the interest, though, in lighting things on fire. Every time they come to town, there's at least 1 or 2 buildings that catch.
Sometimes I just think we'd better off killing them all, but then the thoughts in my mind and the voices and they just don't go away.
Look, I'd kill them all if I had the chance. If I ever got the chance to right that wrong. I don't know in what world someone would allow something like that to happen. How the gods could allow that creature to continue to not only exist here, but to twist the minds of others to believe their existence is of benefit. It seems like heresy to the world.
Yeah. It's a constant battle, I suppose, but it's some battles can't be won. I've had to accept this, but as for taking them down one day it might be possible. The Academy was wrong when they traded me to you. I do have magic, it just is different from what they were looking from. My magic needs a conduit.
I'm not surprised. Something was different about you. Couldn't quite put my finger on it.
I'd pull out Ayun and sort of show him the craftsmanship.
He looks it over, and then
Have
he actually takes a step back. I've
you
seen
ever
those
seen
before.
one of these black blades before?
That's not a black blade, son. That's a forgery. You're holding out the blue one, right? You're holding out Ayun, right?
Ayun, yeah.
That's a forgery. You got that given to you by someone, didn't you?
Yes. What do you mean? It's a forgery of what?
Hold on. Natalia, can you come here, please? This rather tall, kind of thick woman steps around the corner. She has very long black hair, Her eyes seem to kind of swirl a myriad of different colors. And she extends a hand forward as you hold that out. I've seen these before. They're from the blacksmiths, aren't they? Sorry, the Blacksmith Inc., aren't they?
Unfortunately, yes.
I'm sorry. Whom is this? This is Maldronicus. He was you remember, the apprentice I had, partner I had some time ago. Ah, yes. Maldronicus, you left quite a linger here on a few items. Something was calling to you for some time. But this isn't what it was supposed to be, I'm sure.
I don't follow. What do you mean I left a linger on things? I didn't learn my magical abilities until recently.
Every spellcaster has a... Magic manifests itself quite early in your young adulthood. And interacting with things over time with a certain level of emotion and focus can unintentionally unlock certain things. And she walks over to that same cabinet and she pulls out another hammer from there that you recognize almost immediately. This is your old forging hammer from here. Mm-hmm. And she hands it to you. Look very closely at the magic that now resides in that hammer.
So I'd look at it kind of like try to look at it more differently, just from the perspective now of like having magic. Like maybe like I would be casting detect magic, I guess, as I look at it, even just to actually really see the hammer for once and not just look at the hammer as if it's just a material object.
The hammer has a magical glow. The hammer is a... give me a spellcraft as you're looking at this.
Sure.
Okay. So for the longest time, you thought that you just got better at swinging the hammer. And some of that is true. But it looks like something about you was rubbing off over time on this. And this hammer is at least 3 steps better than a standard hammer would be. It moves a little more cleanly. It feels just a little bit lighter, but it feels like it would have an impact that hits a little bit harder.
I guess I never noticed it. At some point I thought I was just learning. But what is this? What does this have to do with this? And I point to Ayun.
You have a signature that you never stop writing. It just writes very slowly. But some things are more receptive to your signature. Some things are waiting for your signature. In this world, there is a concept that some magic is intertwined. The magic that you're born with can be entwined with the magic that is here. Something about your cosmic linkage separates you to be brought back together. But there are forces that twist this idea. There are forces that wish their own purposes for this magic. They have learned to look for the signature, and they have learned to create a new canvas upon which it will be signed. And it will block the signatures of others. I have had one other who came back to me, their blade swearing an oath of death upon them for their actions. They were aligned along the same goals until they had to make a decision about someone dear to one, enemy to the other. And when the blade had to kill the thing it loved, everything became wrong. This is a curse which normal magic cannot unwind. They inscribe these things upon the user with what in dark magic is called a death curse.
I have been told I've been cursed in the past. I didn't realize there could be an actual thing there. Suppose I was just being ignorant.
It's easy to misunderstand. People curse each other all the time. Doesn't mean anything. They use a person in a situation in terrible circumstances, the most dire of circumstances. And they make them make an oath upon their death. And this opens the canvas for the signature.
So this is how Ayun potentially became part of this blade, but why? You called it a forgery. This appears as an actual process. Are you saying that these blades exist that have always existed, that were not created?
Yes. Yes, we've existed. We get trapped in these things when we have goals that are unfinished, and our finders will help us bring about them. Often our goals are entwined. And you've stolen me from mine.
Who says that?
The dagger.
The dagger? Yeah, okay. I'm like that. Wait, is this the woman I was talking to? This is okay. Yeah. Shush! I kept you alive, didn't I?
Wait. What was that?
I kind of just twirl a dagger and sort of stab it down on the table. This one never shuts up.
It sounds like he has a different opinion than you.
Yes, he belonged to a very bad man. And
Give me a perception as she says that. I want to see if you realize it or if you really do, not realize it. Okay. Black Blades talk in your head. She just acknowledged that she heard it talk.
But no one else has ever heard them talk around me, right? Can you hear this one as well? I ask Ayun to, say something, Ayun.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what she's saying. And she says, I can't hear a word that is said from that one. That's how I knew it was a forgery. It's silent. It's unusually silent. Like all magic has a sound. All magic is sound, in some ways. This one makes no noise to any but you, and doesn't always hear the same as you. It hears different. The other was noisy. audibly noisy, distorted, obnoxious.
But authentic.
Yes. True to what it is. That one, a soul that wants nothing more than to kill for whatever its motives are. Perhaps it was wronged. Perhaps it was elsewise. They never tell the truth. These blades, even when their morality still exists to some level, honesty is still never their strong suit. Your forgery is probably attuned to something that you value, that you would yourself agree with accomplishing. But in time, you'll find out what makes it a forgery. It is opposed to you, even in its alliance. And that opposition will begin to present itself the further you pursue its goals.
Is there a way to make it authentic?
Authenticity can't be forced.
I see. And I guess I will have to discover it.
Good luck. I am sorry to meet you on such somber circumstances, but I have heard great things about you and seen great things from you. Many people have missed you in your absence.
Well, as I was saying, I think a dinner party is in order. We catch up on better circumstances and perhaps talk about our armor concepts. I hear you're good at those as well.
Yes, and I would agree this is a good idea. It's been very long since I have had food for dinner.
I'll get a big thing, and we can do the seating chart. I think Cassius and Erebos should sit next to each other for no particular reason. That seems like a great idea. And Zeke usually takes like 3 seats. Zeke eats a lot and drinks a lot. He'll have a lot of beers, so he'll probably have a seat for each of his beers. And well, I don't even know about Ricotta. But I'll get it figured out. Is there a catering company in this town?
You can work money. You can manage to work everything out for that. We'll kind of hand wave over the setup process.
Man, what kind of check did he fail to make that seating arrangement?
Mal's not very intuitive at times, so yeah. So we sort of set up the dinner table, get like a nice, I don't know what the party usually eats, but just like a nice selection of a buffet kind of thing.
Okay. It's been a few days, so you can gather everybody together.
Approximately how many days?
Enough time. It's probably been about the halfway point.
Aww.
And everybody can kind of gather together for a feast.
How much will this cost me?
We don't have to worry about that. For purposes of like food stuff and stuff like that, that'll get kind of hand waved over. These are considered incidentals. Unless you're like, I'm going to feed the whole town, feeding yourselves and a handful of other people, and that's no big deal.
I just wanted like a sort of a nice actual meal thing without anyone needing to cook or whatever.
No, it will be a very good spread. You can take the opportunity to make everything work out quite right. And you can all sit down to dinner.
I'm changing my seat.
Spinks, as you sit down, all of the spirits around you like start chattering with each other and with you. And this woman dressed in this long black gown with this long flowing black hair and these swirling colorful eyes is standing in front of her seat And all of the spirits seem uneasy as they whisper back and forth to each other. What are those, little girl?
What are what?
The voices.
You can hear the voices?
Yes. They speak, but they speak like a mess.
God blessed.
Well,
That nice 3 I rolled.
well, I mean, there is a lot of them.
She will not be able to hear me, though. That much is okay. But this one is unique just like you. Just like us.
Should I be concerned, or is it?
I think not. I know not her intentions. But we are of a kind. Both Cassius and Mal can kind of hear the very soft whispers of the words, "We are a kind."
We are a kind.
Yes. And you recognize that whisper. You've heard it before.
You as in both of us?
Mal, no, recognizes you obviously recognize it, Cassius.
I can hear the spirit mother talking.
Yes.
The hell she mean
Is
by
there
that?
what type of role would it be to understand why I can suddenly hear her?
You don't really know. I'll give you a knowledge arcana here.
Like, I have like some hunches, but I don't know what I'd actually know. Yeah, I guess I don't know shit.
Yeah, I think you're really just stunned in this moment that like that voice is so familiar and you don't know what that phrase even means. But there's something almost calming about it.
I'm gonna try not to give off the impression that I can hear them.
Yeah, I myself would probably just like be so taken aback by it that I would be like silent for the moment and sort of like awkwardly silent for Mal, given that he arranged this whole like dinner thing.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I heard her speak to me was a very different situation, so it would kind of bring back bad memories, I guess.
What was that perception for?
To see if I notice him doing that at the same time as I hear the voices.
You notice, like, yeah, he suddenly, like, got very confused. Sphinx. Who are you, young girl?
Sphinx. I have this thing that I can do. I can sort of, see and talk to, spirits. It's the usual.
But, like, ghosts?
Yeah.
But ghosts do not speak like magic does. When something becomes a ghost, it is angry and malevolent. What you have around you hums and bickers and whispers, like it's alone and afraid and confused, like souls trapped in weaponry or items of other sorts.
I guess these are ones that just haven't been put inside of an item.
What makes them lost? And why?
How long have we?
Go ahead.
How long have we been here?
Just a few minutes. Like, you guys
we
just
been
came in, and Natalia, like, immediately, like, stared at Spinks.
And we haven't been properly introduced, right?
Nope, not at all.
And I'm assuming she's pretty close to her husband, in proximity.
No, actually. Like, she was coming out of a different area. He was, like, standing at the table, like, talking a bit to Mal, and, like, she saw Spinks come in and immediately, like, walked straight up to Spinks and started interacting with her. As, like, even somewhat, like, getting in the way of the rest of you kind of coming in.
I'm going to try to keep an eye on her, but I'm going to introduce myself to her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of talk about, just kind of small talk about him and her and how they met, and, try to see if he gives off any reason as to why she's being all strange.
Yeah, give me a sense motive.
Because I couldn't pick up anything off of her, unfortunately, because I'm bad at rolling. That's still not
and a
great,
diplomacy if you've got it.
Oh yeah, I've got a +9.
Okay.
I just don't ever use it.
Still good.
Yeah, I got a 10 on both of those. Not bad.
Did your mic just break?
Mine?
No.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
What? Who's Mike?
No, Bella's. She was like, aww. Wah, 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 wah. She is an interesting sort. She hears magic.
Oh.
Are you familiar with... She refers to it as synesthesias.
Can't say that I ever heard that.
She's talked before of a condition where people who hear noises can see colors. That the noise itself has a color. This is... No, thank you. This is like being able to hear spells or hear items. Like they were music.
That's mighty interesting.
I've even
Especially
seen
given
her,
your line of work.
I've even seen her speak to them. Those that do not normally have a voice.
It's not dangerous to speak to them or anything, is it?
Not that I've seen so far. In fact, it's made quite a series of interesting armors before.
Now, I don't mean to be blunt or anything, but I done seen some armor, well, weapons more specifically, made by a very specific group. These ain't nothing like that, is that?
No, she speaks to, for example, Mr. Cassius, it was?
Yes, Cassius. You can call me Cassius.
Do you have anything on you that is magical?
Yeah, actually I do. I'll show him my Wayfinder.
She'll interrupt. It's about this point that she'll interrupt Spinks and Natalia's conversation. Natalia, can you come here for a moment? I'm sorry to interrupt. Natalia will come over, and she'll look down at your Wayfinder, and her eyes, like, light up. Like you just pulled, like, a bag of platinum out of your pocket and have, like, dumped it on the floor in front of people who have never had... that have never seen a platinum before.
Natalia, was it?
Yes.
My name is Cassius. Nice to meet you. I'll go to shake her hand.
She doesn't even see your hand. She is super mesmerized by your Wayfinder.
You mind if I ask what's going on?
It's in you.
Ah, shit.
What is this? What are you keeping with you? I can hear this. It rings loudly.
I'm gonna look over at Sphinx
Echoing.
and see if she's
calling.
I'm gonna look over at Sphinx and see if she's reacting to, or is she just like, it's the Wayfinder. I've seen it a million times.
Why did you pull it out? Oh, no. Why did you pull this out?
That was the only magic item on me I could think of that I had. Well, no, I have the only one that would matter. But I didn't. She was getting real creepy with you, and I didn't like it.
She reaches over to take the Wayfinder.
I don't know if I could part with this.
I just want to look at it closer. Hear it closer.
Mind if I ask why?
It's calling. Something in it is calling. Something is calling. Do you know the sound of love?
In what sense?
Are you familiar with what... There is a spell that bards do enjoy that can in some ways force love upon two people. Or there is a bond that can exist when one cares for another so much that it makes its own sort of magic. That creates a sound.
That's mighty interesting.
This is like screaming with the sounds of love and hatred blended into one.
Should I be concerned?
Are you the thing that put them there?
If I find out, I'll let you know.
If you find out, I hope you live to let anyone know.
So, she's being real creepy with all this. Like, do I gauge anything off of her with that sense motive?
She is somehow, like, what he says sounds true. She can hear inherently whatever magic has gone into this, and it must leave some kind of noise behind based on what manufactured it.
So there doesn't seem like there's any personal interest in that, in the sense that, like, she's not trying to...
Her fascination seems purely with the magic that resides inside of it.
Okay. Because I was getting a little worried she was going to do something to Sphinx. I didn't like the way she was ogling all her floating spirit things, or what I assume are the spirits.
Just fascination.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and put this back then.
Enough oddities aside. Let's be seated. Let's have a good meal here. And as he sort of says that, you see, like, Natalia looks over at him, and at first she looks at him like with a look that's almost frustrated, but then something about, like, looking to him. Well, first of all, there's the natural kind of calm that happens, but you notice, like, there's still, like, this look like I was enjoying my conversation, but at the same time there's like a calm that kind of happens over her face, that slowly melts into, like, this look of, like, longing, maybe, with your 28 you get. And she takes her seat at a seat next to where he will sit.
So, these chairs, are there names or anything set out in front of them, or is this kind of...
Yeah, Mal, are there names set out in front of them?
Yeah, it's as I said. It's Erebos, and let's see, Cassius, and then Erebos for good measure, and outside of that, it's free seating.
I'm sitting right next to Erebos.
Okay.
One moment. I can do this untrained, right? Oh God, why? Oh yeah.
Just swap.
I'm swapping mine with somebody else's.
Okay.
I wouldn't
Everything
have
else
actually
is
had any
preceding,
inherent
so.
orders, so, like, I wouldn't notice or anything.
All right.
And I'm taking that seat and then the 2 other seats for my alcohols that I was
Yep.
given.
I did set aside a whole seat for Zeke's alcohol. There's like a keg there.
Well, and you made sure he has his extra distance separated from other people,
He
just
needs
in case
10
he
feet
needs
at
that
the dinner
extra
table
attack.
as well.
Yeah.
Yep. He can't eat within 10 feet of people. He'll have to make like a attack roll to actually eat the food then.
Is there anything that the 6 of you want specifically to discuss over this dinner?
How much we hate Arvals.
I'm going to be particularly broody and moody, visibly so.
Okay.
But I'll keep it to myself unless somebody brings it up.
I would at one point want to check in on Zeke. Our party goes through a lot of sort of stuff, and I don't want anyone like losing their mind. So I just would like want to check in to make sure that you're feeling okay after all the drama that happened.
Yeah, you see me laying there, the most relaxed you've ever seen anybody.
Just the big smile, all right.
I didn't know he could do that.
So if I'm convinced Zeke is feeling fine, I don't think I would have any major conversation with anyone else unless anyone else engages with me. I might ask if Erebos has discovered anything from the spell books he's been reading from the Necromancer.
Have I had a chance to send these books to Rackless, or?
Yeah, you could have easily accomplished that.
So yeah, if you ask that, I'll say they are being studied further. I've learned nothing yet.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and on the topic of that, did we find out what's in that chest? Did you guys get that open?
No time has been spent on that yet.
Yeah, all my project's been on the door removals so far.
Oh yeah, speaking of that, like in this room, there's a door leaned up against one of the walls. It looks like a very familiar like door frame and door.
My best work yet.
Not even gonna question it.
Did you all know that I used to make furniture? It's been quite some time since I've needed to.
Well, that's good to know.
It's all about cutting things in just the right spot, actually, with furniture, you see.
Feels like we don't know much about each other. Any of us, for that matter.
Well, we haven't really had much time to ever get to know each other, do we?
We've had a little bit of time here and there. But
can't
Although I
ignorance
guess I know
sometimes
everything
be
about
wonderful? Ignorance is such a joy.
can also get you killed real easily. And I ain't really too keen on that.
But it can also give you such a feeling of freedom.
I suppose it is unfair, Cassius. I know literally everything about you. Maybe, what is it that you'd like to know about me?
So Cassius, that statement, just real quick to interrupt this before you answer that. That statement alone that she makes, like, immediately makes you understand why it is that she ended up with this man. This man is not connected to anything magical, not really interested in anything magical. He is probably the most arcane, ignorant person that there could be. And something about that, like, emptiness of magic just seems to fascinate her and, like, embody kind of a dream that she wishes she could have, to just not know, not hear the perpetual and incessant sound of magic everywhere. Something that one at first might think is magnificent, but when you realize it has no off switch, it is much more like a curse.
She says, when she says that, I'll just kind of nod to her and be like, yep.
As you say that, like, she looks at you and gives you the most, like, understanding look that she's given anybody here tonight.
I feel a little bit easier about that. I'm a little less worried about her now. A little bit. Yeah.
But Dan asks, Mel asks what you wanted to know about him.
I mean, ain't nothing specific. I guess it'd be kind of hard to ask specifics, given none of us know really too much about any of us. And I think
the whole joke I was making was that I know literally everything about you.
Oh yeah, I did. I forgot you said that part. I kinda
so it'd
chuckle when
be
he
fair
says
that you
that.
get to know at least one thing about me.
You know what I really want to do over a dinner conversation?
What's that?
Questions.
Oh God, is
Oh,
that
Tom
more of
hit
dear,
the
a
not
nail
again.
on the head.
Not again.
But I won't. I won't
see.
subject you to that.
Yeah, it's not the beginning of the session. We can't do that, Steve.
It is one of my
I mean-
favorite things, though.
I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Sometimes it, after a while, I think sometimes people started asking like silly questions.
Well, let's do this. I want you guys to each come up with something that your character will divulge that is either kind of a secret or something pertinent. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll kind of go through and see what each of you have come up with. Dinner, drinking, and getting to know each other can often bring about insight to people you spend a lot of time with. And so I would like to know what it will bring out to those around you at this dinner. So let's take a short break and see what we come up with.
I'm more concerned.
I think to do it in character, we all have to slam like 3 shots right now.